1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1. Yeah, because that makes sense. It's no wonder that the Christian belief in the Trinity of Father, Son and Holy Spirit is so confusing. But maybe we've been going about it all wrong. So instead of doctrine, let's talk about dancing. Circle dancing, to be specific. And we're going to have to use our imagination because some of the aspects of the dance in my head would be impossible in practice. But I want you to imagine that you're standing in a circle, watching 3 people in the centre. 2 men, one of whom is quite a lot older, and a woman. And the first thing that you notice about them is the way in which they look at each other with such gentle concentration and a quietly intense love. Every so often you see a slight deference to the older man, just the tiniest inclination of heads. But for the keen observer, it's clear he's the one who's leading the dance. But the others aren't merely following. It's as if they know where the dance is going, but it's the slightest nod of the head or raising of an eyebrow with a smile that sparks the next movement. There's a practiced ease that only those who have loved for a long time could hope to emulate. The dance isn't fast, but it is intricate. Their very fingers following the flow when suddenly there's a movement you'd not expected as the 3 whirl outwards to the gathered watchers, each taking one person by the hand before spinning back into the middle again, each of the original 3 with a new dancer on either side. The love gaze between the 3 is now shared with the newcomers who, through nervous and unsure smiles, gaze back, unexpectedly caught up in something more beautiful than they had ever imagined. Clearly the new dancers aren't professionals, yet haltingly they begin to learn the dance. Then, with mistakes still being made aplenty, the first 3 spin the new 3 out into the gathered circle, where each one of them picks up another dance partner and spins them back into the middle, while the original 3 continue the dance from the centre. And this is when you notice something that's difficult to describe. There were 3 original dancers, and then there were 3 added, so you could see how they would alternate new dancer, old dancer. Now there are 6 new dancers, so there's 9 in the circle, yet somehow each new dancer is flanked on both sides by one of the original dancers. Your eyes can't make sense of this, but you know what's coming. As the 6 dancers, only having just got past the basics of the dance, are whirled out to the gathering to invite 6 more people to learn the dance, and before you know where you are, one of them's taken your hand, and breathless and dizzy with anticipation, you are whirled into the dance. And here you see something that transcends anything you could ever describe to somebody else. Although you are one of now 15 dancers, somehow each of the original 3 surround you and invite you into the love and the devotion towards each other that they clearly feel. With an abandon you never imagined you had in you, you enter the dance, and the dance enters you and becomes who you are, and you realise you've been invited into the Trinity, and this was the plan of the dance before its first step was ever taken. The concept of a God with 3 faces is known in many religions. The ancient Greeks had Hecate, a goddess with 3 faces, sometimes now referred to as Maiden, Mother and Crone. The Canaanites had Asherah, Astarte and Anat. In Hinduism there is a Trimurti, where the supreme God has 3 faces, Brahma as creator, Vishnu as preserver and Shiva as destroyer. The idea of a God with 3 faces is so common throughout history that Carl Jung thought it was an archetype. But in Christianity, we find something unique. It's not a God with 3 faces, but the God with 3 personalities, each distinct, yet all part of the one God. The early Jewish Christians were monotheists who believed in one God Most High, yet they experienced 3 different persons, the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. The only way they could describe it was that this one God had 3 different personalities. Not 3 faces, not 3 aspects, but 3 persons. Now take it from me, whichever way we look at this, this is going to be a mystery. Every attempted theological description down the ages falls short. So why use the idea of a dance? Simply because the Trinity is to be experienced and shared in, rather than philosophized about. Instead of praying to God, try praying to each of the different persons. Gradually, you begin to discover their differences in personality. But dance seems to me to be a particularly appropriate metaphor because of a word used by early Greek Christians, perichoresis. The theologian Jürgen Moltmann describes how, as a noun, it means whirl or rotation, while as a verb it means going from one to another, handing around, encircling, embracing. The idea of a Trinity as dance, it's not one I've come up with. I wish I was that creative. But it's one that's new to me. And when you put those words together, the image that emerges is a circle dance. It's a mutual indwelling without mixing. The boundaries between each person are retained, yet the intimacy and love transcends our imagination. And here we find a clue to our own existence. The love between the three is boundless. They do not need anyone else. But that love is so full, so extensive, so overflowing that it was natural for them to desire to create others with whom they could share this love. We exist because they wanted others to be able to experience the love which they expressed to each other. And so the great cosmic dance overflowed out of the Godhead, spilling out into a creation whose destiny was that they would be creatures like us who could learn the circle dance of love and join it and share it.